On this installment of Conservative Tech, we're going to take a look at the top 10 reasons to switch to Linux Ubuntu. Now, number one is obvious. Do you really want to pay for an operating system from a guy who wants you to eat bugs and then recycle you into fast foods? Now, we all know what that means. I mean, when we take a look at what conservatives did with Budweiser, Target, and a couple of other major corporations, why don't you consider switching to Linux Ubuntu and do the conservative thing? You know, I mean, why give money to the enemy who has more funds to force their agenda on you? You know, take the steps necessary. Okay, number two is security. Obviously, the Ubuntu Linux systems are a lot more secure than obviously the Windows system. You don't see 100 different agencies trying to sell you software to protect you from viruses on a Linux system. And how do you know those agencies or companies that are trying to sell you antivirus software aren't, you know, on the take with the scammers? I mean, that's, you know, you got to think of it. So take a look at the security, research it on the internet, make your own decision. Okay. Now, this is the number three reason, and the best reason I can see for switching over is many of the programs on Linux are written by people, experts, who actually use the program. My first introduction to a Linux system was computer vision, and we were, you know, doing engineering drawings on a computer. Basically, the Linux system was far and beyond any other computer-aided drawing program. That's because it was developed by engineers who drew on a computer, and when they came up with ideas, they initiated that, added it to the program, created features that were far above and beyond anything that any other company offered, because the other companies, I'm not going to name names, decided to create the software, and they hired a whole bunch of software writers that had no idea what it was like to create an engineering drawing. So they all had issues, they all had problems. There were gigantic shortcomings. It wasn't even comparable. So once I saw that the computer vision was developed by engineers who drew on a computer, who came up with the concepts, who came up with the ideas, who came up with the shortcuts, who decided to make the computer a tool that did their job quicker and more efficiently, I decided it was time to stick with Linux. Okay, now number four is the vast majority of software on a Linux system is free. I mean, you've got everything you could possibly imagine. You've got Libri, which has spreadsheets, it has Word documents, it has everything you could use. It comes with a little calculator. It has, you know, the file system where you open up and look at your files. It's got an easy settings that you pop up and you can control just about everything. I'm not kidding you. This new 22.04, it's really been a pain to use a document scanner since someone figured out that they can infect a printer with a virus and then spread it throughout the entire company or on your computer system or whatever. So there's high security features on printers now that make it really difficult to set up a scanner for your between your laptop or your computer to go over the Wi-Fi to scan a simple document. Okay, this new 22.04, I clicked on the document scanner. I'm not kidding you. This thing actually located my printer. I got a Ricoh printer. It located the printer, downloaded all the drivers, installed everything, works flawlessly, and then I saw this little document scanner. I said, well, let me just try it. So instead of going online and downloading and installing the document scanner from Ricoh, I used the document scanner that comes with the Linux system. I clicked on it. Guess what? It worked. It worked the first time flawlessly. Basically, what you got is another program called the terminal, which is where you would enter code and everything, computer code to create a program, download a program, do whatever you want. So you got your terminal. Don't be afraid of using it. I'm going to explain more of that later. You've got, I use Evolution as to take care of my email accounts. So you got quite a number of choices, and you can actually install and use your email programs that you're already using, even if they're Windows based. I'm going to explain that later. Okay, then we've got the LibreOffice Writer. LibreOffice has everything that the Windows Word for Windows has. You can set it up, lay it out exactly the way your Windows system is right now. It just takes a little bit of time, but if you spend an hour customizing LibreOffice that looks pretty much like Word, you can change it over and have it look like Word. I'm going to cover the Play on Linux a little bit later, but that's a program to where you can actually run all your existing Windows programs if you have a CD or whatnot. It has a program called Ubuntu software. That Ubuntu software is like the App Store, like the Google Play, but it's for all the software. You've got web browsers. You can use Chrome. Normally on a Linux system you use Chromium, which is based on Chrome, but has some security changes on there that makes it a lot more secure, a lot easier to use, becomes virtually untraceable. I use Vivaldi, which is really an upgrade from that, and then it comes standard with Firefox. And you can actually download the other browsers. Some of the more advanced program that they have is Vocal Screen, where you can record screen, any screen on your computer. It has some more advanced ones that I've used, but the learning curve is a little bit too steep on some of the other programs. But this Vocal Screen, simple, easy to use. You can download it right from the Ubuntu store. It works flawlessly. It has all the controls that you need. And if you're really into making videos on the internet, you can download the OpenShot video editor. It is like the most advanced video editor. Professionals use it. It has a short learning curve. You only gotta learn to do a few things, a simple operations. So if you're good at learning simple operations on a computer, the OpenShot video editor is probably one of the best that you can do. Then I used Audacity as a sound recorder. I'm using it right now. So it's simple to use, it's simple to set up. The only thing you really need to do is check the volume control on your microphone before you use it. If you're into graphic arts, you got to get Ubuntu. And if you're really into graphic arts, you probably use some of the more advanced programs. On Linux, it's simple to use and install GIMP. GIMP has some of the more advanced features you'll ever want to find. If you're just, it can manipulate photos. You can use it to make mimes. You can use it to do any kind of graphics arts on there. Like all the other programs, if you got a question, like if you want to do some really cool Chrome lettering, I actually looked at a program. I looked at a couple of videos on how to do Chrome looking 3D lettering that I used on there, and then I just decided to use a method that I learned a couple of years back. It has accounting programs. I used a couple of them. Right now I'm using My Money. It's simple. Basically, when I want to do my accounting, I use basically like a checking book. I don't get into the sophisticated ones, but as advanced as you want to get into accounting, Linux has something for you. And keep in mind, these are advanced accounting systems that are developed by people that use them. The software store I already went over. It has your image viewers. If you want to click on a picture, it opens up in an image viewer right away. It also has the document viewers, PDF viewers, everything you could possibly imagine. And guess what? Everything that I just mentioned is free. Okay, number 5 is Google hates Linux systems. I use Vivaldi web browser, and there used to be so many problems that I would run into to where Google would restrict my viewing on all of their Google run stuff, and they would pop up with all kinds of warnings. In 22.04, somehow they fixed it. There's ways that they can actually stay a step ahead of Google, trick them into thinking that they can trace you. They can, but what they're actually doing is sending out a masked IP address. They're not giving you your true location or everything. Okay, now number 7 is I installed this on both my laptops, and I am totally 100% pleased. Haven't found a single flaw with 22.04. They seem to have fixed everything. I've been using Ubuntu since version 16, how many years ago? Version 18 seemed to fix a few things. Version 20 kind of, everything was working okay. It did have a couple of problems. Number one, it was like impossible for me to, if I upgraded, I couldn't install a new version of eSword. For some reason, that's still a problem. I had to go back and install eSword version 10, but I can do that, and I'm going to explain that in just a moment how I did it. But the only other problem that I had, and it was a common problem with it all depends on your computer. They got to make this system work on thousands of different computers with different internal, hardware and stuff like that. They've got, it seems like, everything fixed in 22.04, but one of the problems was the Wi-Fi kept on dropping off for no reason at all. The Wi-Fi would just disconnect, and you had to go ahead, reconnect it. Well, I prayed about it. One day I woke up and said, it's the Bluetooth. So I went in to settings, turned off the Bluetooth, worked flawlessly. Okay? So sometimes it's just, there was some kind of discrepancy between the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi, and the engineers couldn't figure it out. But, you pray about it. God knows more about these computers than any of the developers do. Okay, number 8 is your favorite Windows programs can run on Linux. Okay, I forgot to mention something. But if you got a favorite Windows program, and you can either download it, from the internet on whatever format or programming that the Windows uses, or if you have a CD and if you get a DVD player in your laptop or computer, you can install 2 programs that will make it run on Linux. Number 1 is Play on Linux. You just go into the App Store or the Linux Store, and you type in Play on Linux. It'll pop it up. You click on the button, on the install button, it'll install it, and you have to install Wine, W-I-N-E. That's what they call it. The 2 work together. And I found out it works a lot better if you install Wine Tricks, and all of this stuff just works in the background. Anyway, I've got a video on installing eSword, which seems to be about the toughest to install. That's the one I ran into the most problems with. So I did a video on how to install it, and it takes care of everything in the background. Anyway, you're not losing any of your Windows programs. If there's specific Windows programs that you want to run on Linux, you can install them with Play on Linux. And when you go ahead and start to install a program on Play on Linux, it opens up a screen. You can type in whatever program you want to install. It has a list of all. It might have already been installed by someone that created the whole system and everything that needs to be installed on your hard drive to make it work. Then all you got to do is open up your Play on Linux, click on the program, hit run, and it takes a little while, maybe a minute for it to start, but everything is basically covered. Okay, number 9, updates never infect the entire internet and half your programs. I mean, I've run Windows for years, and it seemed like every Tuesday Windows would release some major update, and if you're lucky, by Thursday you could use half the programs on your system because they would offer updates, and half the stuff on the internet didn't work until a couple days later, where they could do updates to conform to the latest version of Windows. You don't have that problem. When you install an update on a Linux system, Ubuntu, everything just runs flawlessly after that. I've never run into a problem of installing an update and having a problem with programs not working. Which brings me up to reason number 10. You can choose to update or not update. It's not like Windows that forces you into updates. You start your Windows and it says, okay, you want to hang on for a half hour or an hour. We got an update we want to install. So, just sit tight while we mess around with your computer and do stuff. And we're not going to tell you what we're doing. Okay, if you do an update on Ubuntu, on a Linux system, it has check marks. You can install what you want. You can leave off what you don't want. And you can choose when you want to do it. I got work to do. I don't have time for an update. Well, just hit the update later, remind me later button. And then you can install the updates at your convenience. Okay, at the end of the day or whatever. And then there's one more thing, but now I just forgot it. In when you're installing programs, there's a couple different ways of installing the programs that you want on a Linux system. Basically, when you install the initial system, it'll install a whole bunch of games and other stuff. Basically, what you want to do is you want to open up your programs and your settings. You want to take a look at them, and you can uninstall the games and stuff, the solitaire games, chess games. If you don't want them, just uninstall them. And then when you want to install a program, there's two different ways of doing it. Basically, you can go to the Ubuntu store, and if the program is in there, that means all the security's been checked and everything else. You can click on there, it'll install. You go over to your show applications, and you can open it up and use it. No problem. Some of the programs actually have some issues because it's 22.04 is a new system and stuff. Some programs will install, but they won't run. Okay, don't worry about it. If it installs and it doesn't start up when you click it, I found out that you go ahead and you search that program, install X program, and you enter that into your web browser. It'll pop up with a whole bunch of explanations on how to do it. Now, there's some really good websites that tell you the step-by-step procedure, and there's some of them that aren't so good. It's like everything else in this world. Anyway, one of the top websites you want to go to is It's Floss. I mean, every time I've clicked on his website when I had a question, he always answers the question in more detail than I need and gives you the exact steps to follow. Now, when you take a look at those websites and you don't know how to do computer programming, you can open up the website, open up a terminal to give you the step-by-step procedures to do. So you just copy each step in order. You go over to your terminal, you click on your terminal in the appropriate spot where you're going to enter it. And the thing about it is, in the terminal, the way to paste it in there is right-click, hit the paste it in there, hit the enter. It's going to go through you got to start everyone with sudo, which is super user, sudo. You enter your secret password, which is really great because Linux won't update anything without entering your password. So unless you get a program that copies your password and phoned it out and puts it in there, the virus companies can't update or change anything on a Linux system. That's one layer of security they got. So you enter your secret password, it'll go through the process, and then you just follow the instructions on the website, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. When it's all done, whatever program you wanted to install is installed, and that's using the terminal window, which is like 99.99999% accurate and efficient. So basically everything's all there. If you fix your own cars, if you do repairs around the house, if you check the internet and YouTube on how-to videos, Linux has 1,000 times more information than anything you would ever expect to find on YouTube. And a lot of these programs like GIMP, I've went over and checked out the how to on all kinds of advanced steps on GIMP, and you can do the same thing with the word processor, with any of the programs, the accounting programs, all of that stuff. Somebody's went through it, and for the most part, the Ubuntu community is experts in the field. Of course, you're going to run into the blog sites that just get more confusing than what they're worth, but chances are you're going to find someone that uses the system, that has the website, that gives you all the information you need. So what's holding you back? Get rid of the bug-eating, recycling people in a fast food operating system and go on to Ubuntu. And that's another way we can show the world that, hey, us conservatives, us patriots, are serious about where we spend our money, where we spend our time, and that we're a lot smarter than the people that they want to control. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned a lot. You got any questions? Just put your questions in the comment area. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And hey, the more we share this stuff, the more that we can send a word of advice out to the corporate world. Anyway, let's keep everything moving forward. Keep everything moving forward more secure and more efficiently than anything you could have ever imagined. Have a great day.